All right. Thank you, Chrissy Mostyn and Rick Pilkington from the Blackheart Orchestra for taking time out of your busy day to talk with us at progressiverockcentral.com. These guys are wonderful. They moved the date and they've interviewed with me um, about a month or so ago and talked about the album. Well, now the album is here. So welcome. I'll let you guys say hi and then.
Well,
Hello,
hi
thank you.
everybody.
Thanks for having us again.
Yeah, absolutely. We love being with you. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for the invitation.
All right. Well, Hotel Utopia was one of my most anticipated albums of the year when we last met, and then you told me about it. Was being released this year. What a spectacular follow-up to the critically acclaimed Mesmerato. You guys really did a fantastic job, and thank you for your fans. Thank you for me because I've really been listening to it all the time. But excellent work.
Thank you
That's
Well,
so
great.
much.
Thank you.
all right. Let's talk about it because yeah, I definitely want to talk about every song because every song is there is not a bad song on this album. There's nothing that you'd want to miss. It's fantastic. So let's talk about the opener, The Tide. It's a wonderful first single and video. Though the story behind it does seem sad, and I think Chrissy's probably going to tell us more about that. So yes, tell us about the meaning of the song, and everyone wants to know, Chrissy, what it was like to lay in that cold ocean.
Yeah,
Well, the song was written on the Isle of Wight, which is a beautiful island here.
on the south coast.
Yeah, on the south coast. I'd lost my mum a few months before, and we were back on tour. And to be honest, I don't think I was ready for anything, to be honest. And I really was quite poorly. I felt really physically sick with grief. It was like I was just a bit of a mess. And I remember not being able to sleep or eat. And we'd parked up by the sea at our secret parking place where there's a wall between us and the ocean, and we can leave the van door open. We're in the van now, but we're not by the sea, unfortunately. And I just, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just couldn't sleep, and I just climbed out of the van feeling really unwell and just sat on the wall. And there's just this amazing, well, it might have been a bit later than 4 a.m. because there was this amazing sunrise and this tide. And I didn't even think about songs at that point. I was just thinking, it was just like, right, I give up. I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not fighting with this grief. I'm just gonna feel it. And then later that day, we were playing a gig not far away, and we were just sound checking, and the song just happened, and it was just like a really cathartic moment. And so that's how the song was written. And then the video, it was shot. What was it called? Penwymoir
That's right. Well done.
in
Wales.
North Wales. I love North Wales. And we decided to shoot it, but it was like mid-September, and it was pretty cold. It was pretty cold. And he's like, on the shots of it, we shot it all in slow-mo and this wide angle.
Oh no, you had to sit there longer. No.
Yeah, and it was like I was shivering. Literally, it was like, can you try and just not shiver for a little bit longer whilst I'm blind with these waves crashing over my face? And I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was fun to shoot, but the water bit was a tiny bit.
It was cold. I mean, September in this country can be either nice, like today, it's quite
boiling.
warm
It would be
and
fine
humid,
today,
or it can be almost like midwinter. And it was a really crisp, cold day. It was a really day when you want to button up right to the top, put a couple of scarves on. So poor you. I was feeling quite guilty actually at making it do this.
You didn't even get your feet wet.
I didn't go anywhere near the water. I was just looking through the lens and thinking, yeah, that's not a bad shot. Let's do it again.
Yeah. So I'm there in a wedding dress and boots in the sea.
Yeah.
And Lee, who we work with on most of our films, me and him were absolutely drenched, and you're like, just do that again.
Yeah.
We're like, but we were really pleased with how it came out, weren't we?
We were. I think it's a nice film. We were happy with it. it's one of those times where, you know, you have a vision for a movie or a video, and, you know, sometimes it doesn't quite come out the way you have it in your head. But this one did. It was
Came out
exactly,
better, I think.
it did come out better.
Because it looks really,
exactly right.
lots of people said, oh, nice green screen shot. And it's like, no,
Nope.
we were
All
there.
for real.
We were there,
Yeah.
weren't we?
Yeah.
The bird was real, flying across
Yeah,
at the
you know,
right time.
Yeah.
It was just the perfect day, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from it being chilly.
Apart from you being almost catching death.
All right, and then you followed that up with, if I remember correctly, the first single, "Under the Headlights,"
Yeah.
Which was also an incredible video with a very, very deep meaning. And tell us about that, the meaning of it, and also the filming. Beautiful, where the Who made.
Yes.
Now I can't remember the album. Huh?
Quadrophenia.
Quadrophenia. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so the song was very much about those anxieties that keep us awake at night. You know, I think I've been having an existential crisis since I could think. And that's what the song is about, really. But it has this really hopeful chorus about it. And we used a little snippet from one of our favorite philosophers' lecture, Alan Watts, and we put that in the song, and it just fitted really well, didn't it?
It was. I mean, we listened to this guy, Alan Watts. He was very famous in the 60s as a very good, deep thinker, not just about religious subjects, but philosophy in all kind of facets. And he used to give lectures to universities and things like that. And thankfully, a lot of them have been recorded
By his son.
By his son.
And saved.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So his legacy is still going strong. And we thought some of the things that he said in one of the lectures was so appropriate to what we wanted to say with this song, that we asked his son whether we could have the rights to use a few of his words, and it was okay. So that's where Alan comes into as a guest star on the spoken word part in that song, and we're very pleased to have him with us.
Absolutely, and it felt so special to be able to as well, because his words have helped me through so many tough times. He is such a great thinker and makes you feel better about life and death and everything. So it's like
he tries to explain it, doesn't he? Things that you can't explain, he tries to explain it, and I think it really helps you go further forward with things that are almost impossible to explain and to understand in life. You know, I think he holds your hand and takes you a little bit forward. Yeah.
And the video, I kind of got my own back because he's terrified of heights. And as you know, the video, quite a lot of it was shot on a cliff edge. So that was
I didn't enjoy that. It was tit for tat. You got your own back on me. It was 531 feet above the rocks and the ocean, and we were about 6 feet away from the edge of the precipice. And when I looked at the video, we did some drone shooting from above, you could see actually the cliff was actually undercut. So we were actually hanging over that. If I'd known that, I would have felt even worse. but it happened. I pulled through.
He did. Well,
I didn't scream.
No, he didn't.
I didn't run away.
No, he did it. He did it.
But it wasn't pleasant.
All right. Well, in this album, if I remember our first interview, you talked a lot about sort of preparing us for life and life after death and death. I should have said life, death, and then life after death. So with finally, or when we get to the song "Safe," are we finally safe, or are we? Tell us a little bit about that one.
Oh, well, are we? Well, that's it, isn't it? It's almost like when do you know that you're okay and this is okay? We just don't know, do we? And I guess that's one of the great things about life, I guess, because if we knew, would we live differently if we knew that everything would just go on forever? Would we get up? Would we go and follow our dreams? Would we, if we thought we had forever?
If life was predictable, it would be really dull. The fact that life is totally unpredictable and that we don't know the outcome of life, or if there is a life after death, fascinates us, doesn't it? It fascinates every human being that's ever lived, every person from the beginning of time must have thought that thought, asked themselves that question,
Definitely.
had no answer, just like me and you have no answer to that question. We can have faith, and that's great. You know, we have faith, but faith and knowing, there's a mind the gap between those two facts, isn't there? And that's the entrancing part of how life is it's created. So yeah, that's what the album's all about. It's that not knowing, but maybe believing.
Yeah.
And hoping.
And hoping. Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah.
Well, what is the warning we all need to heed?
Oh well.
Yeah.
So the warning was written before the pandemic, and I think a lot of people probably think it was written during the pandemic, but it definitely wasn't. It was just a lot of these songs just completely wrote themselves. But for me, the warning is about like the life and death of the planet, I guess. You know, we can all do things to help take care of this beautiful hotel utopia that we already have, this beautiful, beautiful planet that we just take for granted. I'm talking about myself as well as probably lots of us. And I guess it's just like that we can all do little things and we can do it now. We don't have to keep waiting. We can all do one little tiny thing. It could be just walking to the shops or just being mindful of what we buy.
Yeah. So it's a kind of slightly bigger afterlife, that song, isn't it? It's not about the my individual afterlife or
like
yours. It's the planet's afterlife, and that we're responsible for the life of the planet, and are we caring for it adequately?
Yeah.
Very good. We are not even safe in space. Tell us about the inspiration of having heroes like an astronaut.
This is one of my favorite songs.
Go on then, take it away.
It's about dreams of life, isn't it? When you're young, you know, when you're a kid or when you're a teenager, you have these aspirations and these dreams of what I'm going to be and what I want to be with life and what I'd love to be. You know, what do I want to be? A rock star, an astronaut, a president of the United States. You know, and then life kind of takes over, doesn't it? And it guides you where it wants to take you sometimes. You know, you don't have much control over your destiny. But this is like that how that dream works out. And this guy obviously wanted to be an astronaut since he was, you know, very, very small little boy, and he's been dreaming about being an astronaut. And then he becomes an astronaut, and you know, it's a lonely place to be. He discovers it's a lonely, lonely place to be. And he loves that loneliness, doesn't he? He loves being in that kind of that tin can where he's breathing tinned air and he's listening to his heartbeat, and he feels very alone in that place in space.
And I guess the song as a whole is like trying to capture that moment in our lives where we can make a decision of what we want to be and making the most of this precious, really condensed little blink that we all have. You know, it's like, yeah, if you have a dream, try and make it work, because even if you fail, at least you tried, you know.
Yeah.
Is it autobiographical, or because I always wanted to be one, but I have poor vision, so that you have to be a flight pilot first here in the United States. So that dream ended early.
Oh, that's really
well,
sad.
It's not autobiographical for me. I wanted to be a bus driver.
I wanted to be a musician. So
yeah.
I guess it's just about having those big dreams, you know, and not having life and school and parents beat it out of us, like get a proper job, stop dreaming. I would always say just keep dreaming, because you know, why not make your life as spectacular as it can be, even if it's little sparkles, you know. Just do it.
Yeah. That's why I like you guys. You're full of energy.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of that, Alive may seem like a song, most people might look at it about suicide, but I think it dives a lot deeper into the mystery of the unknown, or where do we go when we push ourselves to the edge. What examples from either of your lives would you want to share about getting as close as Yes says, close to the edge.
Oh gosh. So to just give the song a little bit of context, you're completely right with what you just said. And the song links very much to Under the Headlights because it was written after we shot the video for Under the Headlights, wasn't it? Because once we got to the cliffs at Berlin Gap, there was the Samaritan signs everywhere, which is like the helpline, the suicide helpline over here. And it was like one of the highest spots for suicide.
It's sadly the third most popular
Is it third?
suicide location. I'm not sure whether that's the UK or the world. In fact, I think it's the world. It's one of the most used locations, the edge of that 531-foot cliff where we were playing. You know, we climbed up that hill, and it was a steep hill, carrying the guitar and carrying the drum, and we got to the edge of the cliff, and we set it all up, and we shot the video. We had fun, we enjoyed it. But you know, every week someone climbs that same hill and doesn't stop at the edge of the hill and edge of the cliff and goes over the edge and thinks, I'm afraid, you know, that's enough for me, that I can't take any more. So it's a sad place. It's in so many ways.
Incredibly sad. And when you're there at the hillside, you feel so alive as well because you're so on the edge. You can hear the waves crashing. There's breeze, there's birds. The sky looks like it goes on forever and ever and ever. And you feel so alive. But it's just that weight of knowing that that is the last point of existence for many people. And you know, I know for one, I've definitely considered suicide in my life, and that might sound really miserable, but I know that I have, especially like in my early 20s. I had a really rough time with like depression and an eating disorder, and I'm not, you know, and I remember thinking, oh, suicide, lots of people think it's a really selfish thing to do, but you know, when you feel that desperate, it's the only thing you think you can do. So I think we just need to have a hell of a lot more understanding and a lot more compassion for people who feel like that is the only way out, because that is not a place you ever want to be, is it? So, but yeah, the again, the lighter side of the song is the chorus of, are the people there waiting? Are they waiting? And are they longing for me, us, you, me, everybody, to just stay here and live this precious blink of a life before we join them?
That place is, it's kind of like that. I just watched a documentary on that place in Japan near Mount Fuji where people do it, and you would look at it from a distance and say, what a beautiful place, and then you get inside. So there's a two sides to every coin, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, just that spectacular view out there on that cliff is beautiful. And you know, you've got France on the other side, I would imagine, isn't it, crossing English Channel? And you would think this is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and yet there's some dark things that happen there.
This is that life. It's I'm sorry, there's a massive truck just passing our van.
No problem.
Make more noise.
Did they just beep? It sounded like a beep, maybe, or no?
No, it was just a massive truck with shipping containers on the back, crashing its way through the services.
So I shut the door. Oh, we're okay. It's okay.
It's okay now. Sorry about that.
Anything else you wanted to add? Because that truck kind of broke. It looked like you were going to say something, Chrissy, but
no, I think I. Do you want to say anything?
No, I think you explained the song very well. I think it's a very complex song. You know, I think there's a lot of ways of looking into that song, and you know, I'm quite pleased with the way it sounds, the lyric, the story. I think it's it's one of the nicest songs on the album.
It's probably very dark lyrically, obviously, taking in the. I think I find it quite easy to write dark lyrics, but it is. I guess you could read it and think, "Oh my gosh, what on earth goes on in their heads?" But
I mean, real songs are going to be autobiographical to some degree, aren't they? Because they're going to be, otherwise they're just fiction. You know, so there has to be some roots of experience in everything that you write.
There's lots and lots of feelings, isn't there?
Yeah.
So that, yeah, that's alive.
Yeah.
One last thing that I heard on it was a little bit. I don't know if you guys have heard the song "Under Ice" by Kate Bush, and I kind of heard, I mean, sort of that dark, that dark feeling. You've never heard that song?
I haven't heard that
I
song.
haven't heard that song. No.
But I will
When you
take
get
that.
done, when you
Okay.
get done, YouTube that one, and you'll see what I mean.
Right.
It's from the, I think it's from the same Hounds of Love, but
Okay.
unbelievable tune. All right. A dangerous thing, speaking of Kate Bush, but it's not just Kate Bush. One of the best written books ever, Wuthering Heights. Dangerous Thing kind of reminds me a little of that, but maybe you guys tell me if it no inspiration from that at all, or okay.
Well, you know, how can you even say? Because I think we take in every single thing that we ever see, hear, watch, and even if it's not even on purpose, there could be sprinklings of all kinds of things, couldn't there? I think we kind of take things in and they kind of, you know, become something else, but never intentionally. There was
no.
Lots of these songs that, like I said, they just kind of write themselves. And A Dangerous Thing is very much about like the dark side of love, that kind of, I mean, the song we had a lot of fun producing as well, didn't we? Because it's almost like a little bit horror filmish in its production, that kind of dark, those dark strings and that really threatening synth. I mean, we're big fans of like John Carpenter and composers like Philip Glass, aren't we? That kind of like,
absolutely. Yeah. Steve Reich and all those people who have a very kind of mysteriously dark side to what they do, and are very unconventional in their approach to music. You know, that turns us on hugely. You know, their kind of way of looking at things. So maybe I think what we do, I think you know, writing songs is all about recycling our emotions, recycling experiences. We don't even realize that we're recycling things. Like you say, it all soaks into our lives like we're a great big sponge. And then when you write songs, that sponge gets squeezed, and the drops that come out become the songs. And you don't quite know where that water originally came from. And, you know, why is it a slightly different color to the original water that dropped into your life? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't want to know how it works, because if I knew, it probably would stop working, and that would be awful. Let's just carry on regardless.
Let's know nothing.
Let's know nothing, and then we know everything.
All right, I want Rick to describe Dust, because I got that one wrong, and he really brought that one out. So go ahead, the vocals and all that. I think that was really cool what you guys did.
Yes, I did. I have to have a little conference whisper with.
No, he knows. Yeah, because you emailed and told him. Yeah.
Right. Just checking whether you knew the real story.
Yeah,
right.
You wrote them, or I guess it was Christy that wrote me, but somebody wrote me and said, "Well, go ahead. You guys tell the story. I don't want to do it."
A couple of people who've heard the song think I'm singing it, and I'm not, of course. Chris is singing it. We wrote the song. Well, you wrote the song, and it was a very simple song, really. And then we just wanted to try and create the darkest kind of deepest sadness somehow in how the song sounded. And that was quite difficult, you know. In the end, we ended up recording it at twice the speed and then slowing it down to half the speed. So that all the instruments on it, there's only a piano on it, really.
And the violin.
I'm bowing a guitar, bottom string on a guitar. It sounds like a cello or a double bass, but it's actually a guitar. Everything is slowed down to half speed. And the fact that, you know, your words are slowed down.
Well, everything is.
Your voice sounds like, is it male? Is it female? It's kind of just moving like a slowness, an unnatural slowness and darkness that creates this super sadness, which is exactly what I wanted to create. Like it was coming from the very depth of your soul, you know, almost like the bottom of the ocean is where the sounds were coming from. This deep sadness. So it's a very kind of a simple song. Yeah, very simple song.
But Dust was very much about that grief, that that loss. And it's just like an honest to God moment of, oh, I can't believe this is real. And the slowing down of it really fits, because it's like when you're grieving and you want the world to stop with you. Stop and grieve with you, rather than everybody else going on with their lives and everything going as fast as it always was. You want the whole world to just stop and take a moment to look at what is gone, what you've lost. It's just that.
And to acknowledge your grief, but the world doesn't.
No.
Because the world doesn't care.
Well, no.
You're alone with that grief.
Exactly.
You're carrying that alone.
But it is that moving through treacle whilst everybody else is just gliding through water.
Yeah.
It's that's Dust, really.
We're about to hit 50 minutes or whatever the limit is, but this is so interesting and this album is so fantastic. Can you guys hang around?
And we can start.
We'll do a part 2. Perfect. All right. Well, and it's saying there's about 10 minutes, so let's do Casting Spells. Then we'll come back and hit the last couple songs, but go ahead and tell me a little bit about Casting Spells. It sounds like a fun romp through witchcraft. I'm sure it goes far deeper.
Yeah, it is kind of like one of the more fun ones on the album, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We really enjoyed writing and producing this one. It has a real energy to it, but it is kind of like that questioning of what is real and what isn't real. It is like a little bit of witchcraft in there, but also like that. Do we get judged? Are we being judged whilst we're here? Is like you always say, is there somebody up there keeping a score chart of, oh, that wasn't so good, cross, oh, that was a nice thing, tick. Was it that, or is it just that we just, is there no magic, or is the magic? Does the law of attraction exist? It's that question of, because when you look around and you see the planet, it's a pretty magical place, isn't it? And it makes you believe that actually magic could exist. Maybe we're capable of more than what we think we're capable of. We don't use that much of our brains. Is it like 10% or something? What and when all of these things where people are like using LSD and things to access other parts of the brain, what is there to discover? It's kind of like a playful romp through that, really, isn't it?
I think it is. I think in a million years or so, we'll look back at these days like today and thinking, wow, they knew nothing. They knew nothing. How much we know now, and look at the poor things just sitting in a van, thinking that it's just so ordinary, the world, and so explainable. They don't understand their spiritual life. They don't understand God. They don't understand anything about love or relationships. It's all so superficial. But, millionaires later, we know everything.
Or maybe we might go further and further away. Maybe we knew more before, when we lived more simply.
Quite likely.
Who knows?
Interesting thought. Gosh, this is getting deep, isn't it?
No, it's very good. No, I don't want to even want to begin to interrupt. I'm afraid to jump into these last two, but do you want to discuss either Translucent or Raise Your Heart, or individually? Go ahead and do that. And I'm just waiting for this thing to time out, and then we're going to restart and finish whatever we don't.
Okay.
Well, Translucent is a song, another happy one, about sort of mental illness and murder. I can see this. I can see lots of the songs as movies in my head, and I say that a lot. Like when we write them and when we play them live, we've just started playing Translucent live, and I feel like I can, when we're playing it, I almost see a film going across this big screen of this guy in this almost semi-derelict flat. It's not even an apartment. It's not that nice. It's just a flat, and it's he's just like losing his mind, and the love of his life is lied on the bed, and he's murdered her but he's not sure if he has or not. So then he ends up committing suicide when he realizes what he's done. That is translucent. But it's a very heavy song production wise, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's some heavy stuff on this album. You know, playing wise, it's our rockiest album, I think, by quite a long way. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's interesting. I like that direction. That's where I come from. So I've enjoyed making this album a lot, you know.
But it has a very, very heavy guitar on the chorus, probably like the heaviest riff that we've ever used.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Who knows where we're going to end up?
Who knows what the next one's going to sound like?
Thrash metal.
No idea. Could be.
Oh, it says we have less than a minute. Shall we rejoin?
What about Raise Your Heart? You want to, is it short enough to cover, or you want to wait?
Let's wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, raises.
We'll be worrying about the clock.
Yes. Shall we rejoin?
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. We'll see you in a second. Bye.
Thank you. I appreciate.
No problem at all.